everyone. Today I want to talk about a topic that I think has really helped me move towards minimalism. It's understanding a psychological principle that's actually helped me just accept minimalism more and break through some of those barriers. So today I'm going to be discussing the spotlight effect and how I think it relates to minimalism. So essentially, the spotlight effect is a principle in psychology that's been well studied that people have the tendency to assume that other people are paying more attention to them than they really are. We have this tendency to think that others are checking up on how we're doing, noticing when we're making mistakes, noticing when we're looking great. And because of that, I think a lot of our behavior is affected because I think the spotlight effect can make us maybe feel more grandiose, but it can also lead to a lot of anxiety. Things essentially like assuming other people notice some small wrinkles on your face or a small pimple, or also assuming that people are noticing when you're doing really well, when you're accomplishing something. Ultimately, people are still just wound up in their own lives and what's going on with them and getting things done for themselves, that they're really not paying attention to us as much as we tend to think they are. I did a little literature search on the spotlight effect, and I found one paper that I thought was really interesting. And basically the conclusions were that in many different contexts, which in their study included physical appearance, athletic accomplishments, and performance on a video game, they found that people tend to overestimate the degree to which others would notice their ups and downs in how they're doing in each of these areas. So across a lot of different domains, people just think that other people notice their performance or how they look far more than they actually do. And I think this is kind of a good news, bad news situation where the bad news is that if you thought a lot of people were paying a lot of attention to you and you were kind of enjoying that, they may not be paying as much attention to you as you think. But the good news is that people just aren't noticing your little mistakes or your little imperfections as much as you might think they are. And I guess I think how this might relate to minimalism is that I think in life we can get really caught up in impressing other people and showing our worth to other people, and often our belongings are a way to do that. We buy things, we accumulate things to show off our wealth or our accomplishments or how cultured we are or just even our vibe. And I think it's hard to eliminate that altogether. But if we can loosen up our reliance on what other people think about us all the time and that feeling of I need to buy more, I need to get more to prove myself, then we can move more easily towards minimalism. One other thing is that I think one way to overcome the spotlight effect is to self-monitor, to notice when we're engaging in the spotlight effect, when we're thinking other people are noticing us when they really aren't, and just kind of catch those thoughts and stop ourselves and decide to live based off of our values and what we really care about rather than that momentary urge to kind of impress people in a way that they probably won't even notice. And I also read in one article that I found that putting our attention outward on other people can actually reduce the impact of the spotlight effect, because once we start paying more attention to other people and even other people's reactions to us, we begin to realize how little they're really paying attention to us. And once we can accept that people just really don't care about what we're doing, at least not that much, then there's a certain freedom. We don't have to rely on what other people think because usually they're just focused on their own lives. I also think one other way to start to overcome the spotlight effect is just to start living like nobody's watching. And I don't mean go off and do impulsive things that are damaging to you. I mean just live the way you want to live in a values-based way. I also think there are bigger ways that we don't take risks in our careers or in doing things that we enjoy because we're worried we'll fail or other people will notice that we'll fail. Like, I do think a fear of failure ultimately stems from a fear that other people will notice our failure. But if we realize there's actual research telling us that people just don't notice as much as we think they do, like we truly are misled in thinking they notice more than they do, it can be a huge comfort and just a weight off our shoulders. If we just start behaving like people aren't watching and we just start doing the things that we love and we care about, I just think it's more likely that we're going to find fulfillment in the long run. And ultimately, we're probably going to impress people more. Not that that's the goal. Now, maybe you're somebody that does take a lot of risks, so maybe this doesn't apply to you that much. But if you're somebody like me, that's at times I've been very controlled by this fear of failure. As soon as I start acting in a way that's just according to my values and where I care a little bit less about if people are paying attention to me or not, I find that I'm just happier, I'm more successful, and more content. And I really think this can run the gamut, like I said, from the everyday, just like little things we do, to the bigger picture paths we take in life. I think this relates back to minimalism. Once we focus on our own values and what is truly important to us, I think it's easier to let all these little tiny things go, and we don't need to be so imprisoned by our stuff. When we're in that moment, maybe we have stuff in our cart and we're thinking about making that purchase, I just recommend reminding yourself about the spotlight effect and that it's likely that however much you're spending on this item won't really pay off in the way maybe you're hoping it will. And I think this can be confusing because it's like sometimes you do get compliments on something you purchase. But I guess I'm saying the reality is that even if you get compliments on items that you're wearing or around your home, often those people aren't paying that much attention to it, and probably a big motivator as to why they're complimenting you also has to do with their own motivation just to get to know you better and to be closer to you. I just think in the age of social media, it's so easy to feel like just buying something is going to make you feel and look better in some way. I think we all fall for it sometimes. I certainly do. I'm definitely guilty of this. So I'm not trying to say this in a way of like, I've never done this and I'm completely over it. But I do have to say that as I've just tried to live in a way where I'm focused more on what I really care about in sort of a bigger sense, I find that I'm more content with the status quo and I'm not just constantly itching to get that next new thing. I think reminding myself about the spotlight effect just empowers me to live according to my values and what I want to do with my life, rather than just basing it all off of other people, because really they're not paying that much attention. So this was a quick one. Hopefully it kind of reminded you to focus on what you care about, not what you think others might care about. If you have thoughts on this topic or the spotlight effect, please share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that's really all I have for you today, but thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.